Hello, panel chewers. Welcome back to the weekly Pick of the Week podcast. It's where Jared and I read all of the books on our stack for the week, and then we come and talk about them, and we end the show with our favorite of the week. And after that, we talk about the ongoing X-Men run that we're reading, the Chris Claremont run, which is in the depths of the Dark Phoenix saga right now, which is exciting. So we'll talk about that after our Pick of the Week, which is X-Men, Uncanny X-Men issues 134 and 135. And I guess that leads into the topic, which we were just discussing before we hit record, which is I didn't realize that the Dark Phoenix saga only lasts until 137. So we're trying to decide what to read next. And of course, I'm here with Jared. And Jared, how you doing?
I am doing good, and I think that is an excellent question because basically there are so many choices, and so where do you go next? What do you choose? What's classic? What's considered greats in all times? And do you pick something that that we haven't read before, or do we continue to you know let nostalgia guide us for what we have read in the past and when we were younger? So either way, if it's something that's touted as a classic run, I am on board.
Yeah, I think the problem is there's so many classic runs. It's a little bit over because there's of course the seminal runs that we talk about, like the Dark Phoenix saga. But when you look at the list, and I should mention for any new listeners that we chose the X-Men, the Chris Claremont X-Men run because it's free on Libby and Hoopla. So anyone who wants to read along, it's free and just have to sign up for an account if you don't already have one. And there are a ton of free comics on Libby and Hoopla, a ton of free books, movies, and music. So there's a huge selection of books. There's so many books. So what we were just discussing is whether to continue in the Chris Claremont sandbox and maybe jump to Days of Future Past and read that collection, or jump to something else. There's manga, there's there's DC, there's Marvel, there's independent comics, there's all sorts of, the possibilities are almost endless.
Indeed.
So if you're listening and would like to read with us, or reading X-Men with us, or haven't jumped on the train yet, let us know what you think. If there's any classic runs or things on Libby and Hoopla that are free for us to get that we can all read together free of charge, let us know what your opinions are. Or if there's a run you really love and you think we should read, we'll check and see if it's available on those platforms.
Excellent.
Yeah, good stuff. So, and leave it in the comments. You can also send a message to us directly using the link in the description. Or, of course, if you're on our forum, just let us know there. And we'll start a thread for that to find what to read next. Look for any suggestions. So, I think you had 4 this week. I had 5 books to discuss. And I had a really good week. It was tough to find my pick. I think they all had a chance. How was your week in general?
It was okay. I had a clear winner. There was no doubt. Then I had 2 pretty good books, and then one I'm kind of waffling on. But the book I did get as my pick of the week, I'm really happy I got it.
I'm so bummed I didn't get it. I did not see it on the shelf. So I'm so bummed I missed it. we'll discuss why later. But yeah, really good week. So the trombone may not make an appearance this week.
Maybe not.
See how it goes. So we'll start off with my first pick, or my first book, I should say, which is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring number 3. This is of course in the same universe as Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. It's about Sam. It's an anthropomorphic, I believe I'm saying that. series where these like stuffed animals, they walk and talk and they interact with each other, like kind of like a Bernstein Bears type of setup. But one of them is a serial killer, and she's not like Dexter, where Dexter had a code. Sam is more of just a killer, just does it because it's fun for her. So we learn a lot more about Sam in this issue, her past, and it's. I feel silly saying this because we're talking about a serial killer who mercilessly kills innocent people. But once we read this issue, there's a whole. She goes to another level of her just ruthlessness. So learn a lot about her. It's mostly focused on her and her past, and fleshes out the character, which I really liked. And yeah, it's it's still weird. It's still jarring seeing these like stuffed animal characters you see in a children's book, and one of them is a serial killer who chops people up. So it's I love that though. It's so jarring and uncomfortable in the best way. Yeah, kudos to Patrick Horvath doing a fantastic job with the series, and yeah, just a great job with the art and the writing. So kudos to Patrick Horvath.
Cool. What's the company that?
The first one I believe was I didn't write it down. The first one I think was a different. Was it Mad Cave? I can look it up.
Oh, maybe it switched.
Yeah, it switched in the second one, which I was curious about, but I think it was a different imprint.
Huh. Cool. All right. Next up, I have The New Gods, number 10, continuing the DC series that has surprised me with how interesting it has been. And continues on with the good storytelling. Um, and it also continues on with giving us different art styles. The main artist does the first few pages, and then there's a fill-in artist that does the rest of the story. I wasn't too keen on the artwork for the fill-in for this issue. Um, it was a little too, I don't know. It didn't seem as polished as
Hmm.
the main artist that we used to on this series, who's very good. Um, and so that was a little disappointing, but I can look past that. The story continues on just with the great story that we've been getting the whole time. This is an ongoing story that just builds and builds and builds. It shows no let up yet. This shows like there's going to be plenty more to it, and it feels like a classic run that's going to go on for a while,
Hmm.
and it feels like something that's not quite that's getting away from the mold of having to write that 4 or 5 issue arc and end it for the trade paperback, um, and so I appreciate that about this series so far, in that like you're getting threads of this story from the very first issue on, and it just continues those same threads, and I really like that. Um, the art could have been a little bit better on this one, the fill-in artist, but overall, though, the story is still really cool. Uh, things are coming, things are happening, and it's pretty exciting stuff. Um, I do wish there wasn't as much involvement with some of the regular DC superheroes in here, Wonder Woman and such. Um,
Hmm.
but it is in the DC universe, so you can't really rule them out. You know, but uh, but still, overall, another solid issue for the New Gods.
That's the problem I think with these really like with the run when you're reading it, you feel this is a classic, and the bar is set really high. It's hard to maintain that every month,
Yes, yeah, sure.
so it's tough, especially with all the different deadlines. I'm sure they have a ton of deadlines and
Yeah,
all the people involved, and everything has to fall into place. So I'm sure it's tough to maintain that level of quality.
yeah. Well, we'll see that level of quality later on today.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so my next one is Hyde Street number 9. This one is an this issue is focused on Doctor Ego, and he's I won't give away too much about, but he's a plastic surgeon who is on Hyde Street, which is kind of this like purgatory where Hyde Street exists in our world, but it's where people go. They make a deal to be there. It's kind of like a purgatory where they have to collect souls. So everyone on Hyde Street is competing for souls. So you can just any of us can randomly walk into Hyde Street on accident, and these people are there trying to steal our souls in lots of different ways. It's a great setup, and this is a we're introduced to Doctor Ego last issue. This issue we get his full background, and I really enjoy that these issues are so well constructed that this issue is a Doctor Ego focused issue, but we still move the main plot along. So you when you read it and you finish it, you feel like you have this new character, you learn about the character, and the main plot also is moving along. And it feels complete. You feel satisfied when you finish it. I really appreciate that. It's so well done. It's from the very start. It's done that really well. And I feel like comics or DC, I know, has this initiative from Scott Snyder to do more of this, to have it feel like a complete issue, like an episode of TV where you have kind of a point where it stops and you feel like a good stopping point. So, um, yeah, I'm really loving this series and looking forward to seeing what happens next. Great artwork, great writing, just cover to cover, great stuff. All of my books this week could have been the pick. So, really solid week. So it was nearly my pick, all of these. So, High Street number 9.
All right. Cool. Next up, I have The Killer, Affairs of the State 2, issue number 4. A long title. But The Killer continues on this story about this assassin for hire who now works for the state, which is why it's called Affairs of the State. And from Boom Studios' Archaea imprint. And this continues on. This is issue 4 or 6 in a series, and at first, as this issue was going on, there was a lot of back and forth talking, a lot of exposition between the two main characters, and kind of a little bit of recapping between them. And so, at first, I was a little bit bored with what was going on because I didn't need that much. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just ramped up and hit you over the head with a bang. um, and you were like, "Oh, wow, okay." And then you could see why they kind of lured you into this sense of complacency in order to really set this surprise up in the issue. And I gotta admit they pulled it off on me. They got me.
Hmm,
uh,
nice.
so so it was good. It was good. And it was the the solid artwork from Matt's the no not Matt's Luke Giacomo is the illustrator. If you're familiar with the Killer comic at all, then you're familiar with his style. It's consistent and it gets the job done. Um, so really interesting issue to come into, which with 2 more issues in this series, you can tell things are probably going to really ramp up for the penultimate issue, next one, um, based upon the endings of this particular one. So, once again, looking forward to continuing on in this series. And if you haven't, if anyone out there has not read this series yet, I recommend it. It's different. It's a lot different from American comics that
Yeah.
we're used to, and it just has a different feel to it. It has a different um, there's a different psychology that goes into it, and it's just really interesting to get out of your comfort zone and read something from these points of views and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't read Affairs of the State yet, but the other killer comics that I read, it felt a little more raw and honest, or at least didn't pull any punches, but it wasn't over the top. It felt very direct in a good way. It just feels
Yeah,
like this is what it is.
it's a good way to put it. Yep.
And the next one on my list is Skinbreaker #1. It's by Robert Kirkman, writing and David Finch on art. And I do love the artwork. The artwork is great, but there's this constant yellow tone on everything. But when you read the book and the role of the sun, it makes sense that everything is yellow. It kind of fits into the theme of the book. Now, what it revolves around is a tribe. We're not really sure where they exist. It's this kind of tribe where they're preparing for a possible new chieftain because there's some concerns over the bloodline of the current chieftain. There's a struggle for power, and you learn more about why they're called skin breakers, their customs and things like that. So the first issue I feel set up all of that really well. I mean, it's Robert Kirkman. He's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like Jeff Johns. It's they know what they're doing, and you can see that as you get into their books. But I mean, it didn't blow me away. It was really good, but it was a really solid first issue. I'm going to be coming back. I want to continue reading, see where it goes. I love the art, just great art. But the yellow tone, if that turns you off, but by what you've seen of it, there's a reason for that. So there is a purpose. It's not just an overuse of yellow. There's a reason why there's so much yellow. So I want to mention that.
Yeah, David Finch is pretty good
Yeah,
when
really
it
good
comes to
art.
artwork. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was kind of interested in picking this one up, but I wasn't sure because I'm not really that huge of a Kirkman fan
Mm.
myself. Um, I I wasn't a fan of The Walking Dead, and The Invincible didn't really appeal to me until I saw it on the adaptation on Prime.
We
But
should see if Invincible's on Libby. It's so good.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but David Finch's artwork is really good. So that I was on the edge about getting this or not. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, didn't blow me away. Out of all the books I read this week were good. This is probably the my least favorite, but it was still good.
yeah.
Oh,
Cool. Well, moving into my least favorite of the week uh, is
uh-oh.
Galactic #1 from Distillery Comics, our friends at Distillery there.
Hmm.
And this was let's see, written by Kurt Pires, something like that, and art by Emilcar Pina. Um, and so this is you can tell by the name. This kind of is like a like a space opera type of sci-fi tale, and they they're really riffing off the Star Wars kind of setup. Um, but the story starts off with about this bounty hunter, and he starts saying this is a love story, and he starts explaining why it is, even though it's there's a whole bunch of like action stuff that doesn't have anything to do with a love story, but the the bounty hunter has this he has this like typical dialogue that's like I don't know what you call it, but he's kind of he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's kind of a jokester, and it's I don't know. You've seen it 100 times in these, the the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, what's his name, Star Lord or whatever.
Yeah.
Same kind of dialogue, same kind of
Mm.
quippy stuff.
Marvel
it's a
humor.
little, yeah, Marvel humor. It's a little funny. He doesn't take any of his situations seriously. He doesn't, um, you know, and he has this cockiness about him that uh, it was kind of like he was trying to. I mean, he was definitely imitating the Han Solo type of situation. They even had the imitation creature cantina, there with all the aliens in it and stuff like that, and the setup with the double cross and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So it was very just by the numbers, imitating Star Wars. Very slow to set up. A lot of exposition, um, and then in order to get out of the Star Wars mode, it gets very adult all of a
Hmm.
sudden. There's a lot of sex, there's a lot of violence, and the almost like they were saying, "See, we're not Star Wars," you know. And I was like, "Yeah, you are. You're just throwing this shit in there, just to, uh, you know." And then, and it's about this bounty hunter. He's tracking down a princess. Wonder of wonders, right?
Yeah.
and and he's paid to get her back by her father. And so, like the artwork was good, um, and I wanted to like it a lot more than I did, but I just felt that the writing, it just felt a little, I don't know, juvenile, I guess,
Hmm.
in its approach. And I think it could have tackled a lot of the topics brought up in a better manner.
Hmm.
If it could have, it would have been a much better book. Because I don't mind imitation when it's done in a respectful way and it's done, and the writers actually taking the subject material seriously and trying to explore facets of that imitation um, that might not have been that deeply explored in any of the original stuff. And that just doesn't seem to be the case here. Maybe with another issue, he'll get into deeper things. Um, I'm not holding it with Distillery Comics. I'm hoping that's the case because they have a really good track record
Yeah.
of some really good comics. And so I'm hoping this one's going to get a little better with the second issue. We'll see. As of now, I'm very on the fence.
Hmm. That's too bad.
Yeah,
There's a fine line between paying homage to something and imitation, right? There's this,
yeah,
it's tough because when you really love a story or kind of a genre or a type of, certain tropes, then it's easy to fall into the trap of just being like a carbon copy and not doing something different or blazing a different trail. So
yeah. Like I said, I wanted to like it a lot more than I did.
yeah, it's too bad. Well, Distillery, like you said, has a good track record, so maybe they'll turn around.
That's we can only hope. Yep.
Last one for me before we get into our picks is Viking Moon #1. This is a new series by Image. This one was nearly my pick as well. It was close. So in this issue, you follow a group of Vikings who make landfall in a new land. Vikings are notorious for pillaging and coming on and just wreaking havoc and killing and you know just being a menace. This was a little this one's a little different. When they make landfall, they make there's some discussions on how dangerous this certain land is, and they find more than they bargained for when they get on land and they start to explore. And I like the use of myth that they're interweaving into the story. I like that they're taking different myths and different uh, legends and things from different cultures and mixing them together. And I think I'm excited to see where they go with it. The artwork, there's a few, and I've anybody who listens to the podcast knows that I have this disdain for photo referencing. There's a few there's a few people that look like actors from like these types of stories, and it just takes me out of this. It just takes me out of the. It breaks my immersion. But I will say that during the battle scenes, the facial expressions are really well done, and it sounds kind of silly, but the action scenes are well drawn, and I was impressed with them. So, you know, there's that. So kudos for that. But yeah, solid first issue. I was pleasantly surprised. Looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Very cool.
And with that, we get into
Yeah.
it's that time again, into our pick of the week.
All right. Yes. So mine is Good as Dead from Image Comics by David Lapham, the creator of the speaking about classic runs,
Yes,
Stray Bullets.
excellent run.
Yes, fantastic. And he's starting an all new comic here called Good as Dead, written and drawn. He also has a co-writer, um, Maria Lapham, I think is his wife,
Uh-huh.
and so they're writing this together, and he's drawing it the way he draws stuff, and
Yeah,
uh, and it's pretty awesome. I gotta say, it was so cool to be to have just have a book that in that style once again in my hands. And if you had any expectations of Lapham as a writer and artist from previous stuff like Stray Bullets, then those expectations were met with this book. It was the characterization was deep and it was spot on. The story was intriguing and it's just so interesting how he can just introduce characters right away and you kind of just know who they are
yeah.
just in that quick like one page 9 panel introduction and it's just like wow how does he do that and there's not many people as good as him when it comes to that stuff and I just really appreciated it. There's a lot of characters introduced in here, but I was not confused ever about who was who, and um and I was like, and you get introduced into the politics of this small town that you're looking at, and the intrigue surrounding that, and as I mean, right in the first couple of pages is a guy lighting himself on fire. I mean, there's all kinds of awesome wacky stuff going on here and it just fits. It fits with the tone he's portraying. It fits with the setting and I really love this issue one and I'm much looking forward to more.
Lots of Lantham stuff. Sounds
Yeah.
like. It's
Absolutely.
funny his style. The characters, he has a certain style, but all the characters are always like you never wonder who is this person. They all
Yeah.
have very defining characteristics on each one of them does, so you know who's who,
Yeah.
which isn't easy to do.
Yeah. And you can't take anything for granted. What you learn about the characters now, it's what's presented to you, but don't take anything for granted because there's twists and turns even in this first issue that was like, oh wow, that's interesting. Okay, so yeah, I have no idea where it's gonna go, and that's a good thing. And I'm on board.
I love David Lantham. I think he's great. He's written some very disturbing books. Like
Sure.
Caligula was something else. He had some cross runs that were pretty out there. But Hunter or Stray Bullets it's one of my favorite all time runs. Just fantastic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I even remembered his start in the business with Valiant Comics with
Hmm.
Harbingers, and I thought that was fantastic. And then he followed Jim Shooter over to Defiant Comics and drew the Warriors of Plasm, which was a real head trip as far as artwork goes.
Hmm.
Um, and it just made me follow him right into his Stray Bullets independent stuff, and was so glad I did. He's really becomes just a master at the craft.
Yeah, really great stuff. All right, my pick of the week this week. This is just the one that stuck out to me the most. I know I talk about this series a lot, just like I do with Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, and it is Sleep number 5. The quick and dirty rundown for those who aren't reading the series is it's a young man in the small town where when he falls asleep, he wakes up around with destruction all around him, and he starts to wonder if he's responsible or not for the destruction. It's it's drawn in black and white, but there are certain items that are colored in red, and the items that are in red are red for a reason. We don't know what that reason is yet, but it's for a reason. So it's almost like putting together a puzzle, trying to figure out when you get some clues, and you never get a straight answer from the different characters on is he or is he not responsible. So you're is he the one doing this? Is it something else? What's going on? It's very it keeps you going with questioning what's really going on. And I'm not sure he's the one, but we can leave that to a spoiler discussion someday. But anyway, this one is a big turning point in the series. There's big revelations and lots of red in this issue. So this is one of the books that I get excited when I see it on the shelf, and it's fantastic stuff. And looking forward to seeing what happens next. It is, like when you have a great TV run, something like Lost or the like Yellow Jackets or something, where you watch it and you can't wait for the next episode to find out what happens. That's the kind of feeling I've been getting from Sleep. So it doesn't happen very often, and just fantastic stuff.
Cool, awesome. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, really good stuff. And so we move into our Uncanny X-Men run, which is we'll be discussing 134 and 135, and the Dark Phoenix saga. We're in the thick of it.
Indeed, in the
Yeah,
thick of it, indeed.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, what's funny is speaking about masters of the craft. This is John Byrne at his best. Just incredible, incredible artwork, and the yeah, I like this issue uh, where they're kind of they're fighting with the Hellfire Club, and they're starting to get out of their predicament, and what was it? Wolverine said something like, "You're a woman after my own heart,"
yeah,
and she says, "I know. I wish I wasn't."
yeah,
um, but of course, as we see at the end of the issue, there's another reason for that. It's because she's gonna kill them all if she has her way, right? Yeah, so it was really cool how you know she breaks free of Mastermind's control, and she gives him that classic line, "Your power is nothing," and it was just so cool. It was just really well done how it all played out. Um, Mastermind becomes a drooling idiot or whatever. Um,
yeah.
he's done for, and
I think all of us would be done for.
yeah, right. And then yeah, and then the X-Men get away from the Hellfire Club, but it's not over because then boom, we have the Phoenix, and she's mad, and she kind of just takes them all out.
Yeah, she's not very happy at all. And just the iconic, timeless covers on these two issues too.
Oh, unbelievable. That, yeah, 135. That is such the most one of the most classic covers of all time, where she's holding up the the X-Men words or whatever, and basically crushing them or whatever it is. And
So great.
what a cover! Yeah, unbelievable.
I almost forgot how powerful she is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It it's interesting because she has this this all-consuming type of power. It's almost like a lust almost, and that
Hmm.
she's lusting for more and more, and and like everybody on the planet senses this. Like the Fantastic Four, their senses are going off the charts, and Doctor Strange is all gets a headache and whatever, and and you know, and like everybody senses this huge power level, and she takes off, and it's interesting because there's this um there's this concept that this amount of power has to be fed, and this is similar. That's been brought up before with the whole Galactus thing, and why Silver Surfer exists, and he has to search out things for Galactus to feed upon. And now we're seeing this same similar kind of theme with the Phoenix, and that she went and committed genocide and destroyed a
Yeah.
sun and
Yeah. The
planets,
whole,
and
yeah, that was wild.
that was like, okay, that's not good. Yeah. So man, that was just that's a lot. That's a lot to take in right there. And the uh, the scope of it is huge, you know.
Yeah.
And you think it's just a comic book. It's just superheroes doing their things, and of course she's only doing it to aliens. But
Makes it okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's not. And I forget. I'm trying to remember how this all ends because this is reread for us. But I wonder if Claremont later on deals with the ramifications of this. I don't remember specifically, and because that's really huge,
It's
and
wild. Yeah.
the Shire Empire notices, of course, this going on, and they try to deal with it and can't, and
Nobody can really.
yeah, so huge stuff. That was what an issue. 135 was just amazing.
Yeah. I think you start to appreciate the slow burn leading up to this and the little clues sprinkled in. So yeah, I think just so well done. I'm surprised we only have two more issues though, because it seems like we hit this peak where she's destroying solar systems, and in two issues it's going to be over, which is a little weird. I remember it being longer.
Yeah, it's interesting how our memories fool us.
Yeah, exactly.
But
But
yeah, and there was one little mention of Shaw, when the X-Men leave and they defeated him and he underestimated them and all that stuff. He does mention to the senator, Robert Kelly, I think his name was, about the Sentinel program and
hmm,
bringing that back. And of course, that's a little seed for the future stuff that other classic runs that we know is coming.
yeah, I missed that. I didn't. Yeah, I forgot about the Sentinels. And T mentioned it. We were before we started recording. And mentioned that. And I thought, oh, that's right, Sentinels.
Yeah, because that's going to lead into the whole Days of Future Past and all that stuff. Yeah,
I love the Sentinels. I think they're a neat design. They're a good villain.
yeah, yeah. One of those villains that you can just destroy, and
Yeah, no big deal.
yeah, you don't have the psychological ramifications of killing people.
No, they're just robots. They're fine. It's fine. Just like when you destroy a solar system full of aliens, it's like, oh, they're not really
Yeah.
people anyway. No big deal.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I guess we'll finish up the Dark Phoenix saga next week, which is a little crazy to say because it's what, 136, 137, and I think there's other kind of tie-in issues beyond that. So we'll go from there on what to read after that. But uh, I remember it being a lot longer. But I think it's another reason I think I may have remembered it that way is because how long the setup took. Because we've been setting this up for 20 issues or so.
Yeah, yeah, even more. Yeah, they actually had a couple of editors' notes in this issue, going all the way back to 108. So it's been like almost 30 issues set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so next week we'll do 136, 137, and kind of go from there. But if you have any suggestions on what we can read next, please let us know. Or any other runs that we want to read all the classics or anything that's available on Libby or Hoopla, let us know.
Yeah.
Love to hear from you. So cool, another episode in the books. Uh, until next time, Jarrod, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel. You can find me on Speculative Speculation Podcast and also on the Oscar Project for Film Chewing.
Yes, indeed. And all those links are down below, so be sure to check those out. Check out Jarrod's YouTube channel and Speculative Speculations. And if you'd like to find me, the best place is on our forums at pagestream.com. Join them if you haven't already. We were a friendly bunch for the most part. So, no, I'm kidding. But no, let us know what other books we should be reading in Libyan Hoopla. Either send us a message on with the link below on send some fan mail or, of course, on the forum. So until next time, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and we hope you find your pick of the week.
Bye bye.